Hi kittens, I'm Julie Savone, psychedelic facilitator, integration expert, and your guide for this wild ride, the Inner Trip, 365 days with plant medicine. I've helped hundreds of people use plant medicine, primarily psilocybin, to heal, expand, and step into their next level. But this year, I'm taking it even deeper. For the next 365 days, I'm bringing you with me. I'll be microdosing, journeying, integrating, and exploring what it really means to live a limitless life, with plant medicine as a tool, not a crutch. So if you're ready to feel more alive, more clear, more limitless, and you're down to do it with mushrooms and a little bit of sass, you're in the right place. Let's take the inner trip. Hello kittens, I am your host Julie Savone and welcome to the Inner Trip. My intention today is to share with you the why behind this podcast and to let you know what we are going to be getting up to with the next 365 days with plant medicine. I am a psychedelic facilitator. I have guided over 300 people on journeys at the macro and the micro level using primarily psilocybin as my plant medicine tool for transformation, for healing, for expansion, and everything in between. This is not going to be just another podcast about psychedelics. This is going to be a year-long experiment. I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes for 365 days with plant medicine. That means microdosing, that means macrodosing. We're going to be using psilocybin. I'm going to be using LSD. Who knows? I might have an ayahuasca ceremony in there somewhere. It's not on the calendar yet, but you just never know what could come up. And most importantly, it's going to be infused with my two favorite I words, intention and integration. Intention and integration are everything in this work. Without it, you're having a really cool experience, no doubt, but you're not having an experience that is going to lead to transformation. So no, this is not going to be about tripping every day or escaping reality. Maybe you have read Be Here Now or know more about that experiment. If you don't and you're like, oh, I'm interested, what is Be Here Now? It is a book. You can go check it out, buy it. If you'd like to know more about that and what that group did there, drop it in the comments. I'm happy to record a podcast episode about it. This is an experiment to live more fully. This is an experiment with the hypothesis of how good can life get. So, having 365 days with plant medicine is actually really against the grain of what I teach, how I facilitate, what people have come to know and expect from me. My whole philosophy is about helping people use plant medicine as a tool to raise their overall baseline, their homeostasis, so that they no longer need it to feel good. I was on a journey with Prozac, with pharmaceuticals to treat my anxiety and depression. I use the word treat really lightly, and if you have ever been on an SSRI, an SNRI, prescribed something for your mental health in the realm of anxiety and depression, you know that treat is probably not the right word because these medications, while they can be useful and do have their time and place, I know that for me, I would not have been able to cope without it at one point. It didn't ever get to the root cause of what was going on with my anxiety and depression, and it just ended up becoming a mask, right? I felt very zombie-like. I felt very blah. My life was in grayscale. So I use plant medicine and facilitate it with others so that they can get to a point of feeling really good without prescriptions and without continuously microdosing every single day, which is not possible, and I'm going to get to that. But just know that you can't microdose every single day. You couldn't go on a journey every single day. You'd have to take increasing levels day after day, which is what happened in the Be Here Now experiment, because psychedelics have such a high propensity for tolerance. So your tolerance will increase, and that's why it's so important to take rest periods in between microdosing protocols, which is a set of on and off days people follow for 30 to up to 90 days, but usually most of my clients microdose for 30 days. They do the integration, the rest period, which is essentially 1 week for total gram consumed. So let's say over the course of a month, they consume 2 grams. They would take a 2-week rest period. They would have their integration. And then over the course of, I usually recommend 4 rounds of guided microdosing in that way. They get to a place where life feels really sustainably good. They have taken the magic of mushrooms and they've incorporated it into their everyday life. They have embodied the goodness, and then they don't need to keep taking the mushrooms forever. you can come back to your microdosing practice, I like to say, once or twice a year and maintain your baseline, which is another really cool thing about plant medicine. Instead of being on prescription where you have to take the same thing every single day and it doesn't actually get to the root cause of your anxiety or depression, and it doesn't make you feel better, but it can make you feel less intensity of your sadness or your anxiety. Microdosing is not something you do every single day. You do it with the intention of healing the root cause. It helps you heal the root cause, and then you have a really awesome baseline, and your overall level increases of wellness. So I always ask people before we start working together, like, rate how you're feeling on an average day to me, right? And then I say the same thing at the end. And over the course of working together, on average, people increase their overall sense of wellness and well-being by 40%. That's a huge jump, right? So if at the beginning they were like, I'm about a 4 out of 10 average, and at the end they say I'm an 8 out of 10, that's so amazing. And it's not something where it's like, they stop working with me and then 2 weeks later they don't feel good anymore. No, this is something I actually just spoke with the woman who was my first client ever in my original microdosing program. And we were talking about how things were going. She's someone who really struggled with depression, and she was very treatment resistant. She had been struggling with it for over a decade. She started microdosing and things changed. She has this big golden retriever, and so fluff balls would accumulate all over her house, and she said she had no motivation to go vacuum them, and she knew that she wasn't taking care of her house, her body, in the way that she could or wanted to. And through the process of microdosing, her life has completely changed. She still microdoses every once in a while. She said she's been feeling good, and these changes have lasted. So this is someone who had been treatment-resistant depression for over 10 years. So it just makes my heart so happy to hear that. This year, I'm working with a different question. When I first came to the practice of microdosing and plant medicine, and I'm going to share my journey to this point on the first official episode, but when I first came to this work, it was very much about how can I heal the root cause of my anxiety and depression. I got there, it was great, and now I look through my journals, and the questions that I'm asking myself are totally different. It's not, oh my God, my mind is not a fun place to be, I can't do this, I'm overwhelmed. The question I keep asking myself is, how good can it get? How amazing can my life get? What levels of joy, abundance, bliss can I hold? So I want to see what is possible with 1 year of intentional psychedelic work. So following my protocols, honoring my rest periods, and integrating, no matter what. I don't really know what's going to come of this year, but I do have some guesses. I really believe my capacity to hold the joy, the pleasure, the abundance, all of that goodness is going to skyrocket. And I know because I subscribe to the 50-50 concept, which is feelings are a pendulum. So if you're going to swing up here to really high levels of joy and abundance, the pendulum is going to swing at the same height in the opposite direction, meaning I'm going to increase my capacity. I'm going to need to increase my capacity. I'm going to have to. And I rarely say have to. We'll get into all of my communication rules as well. But I'm going to have to if I want to increase the joy. I'm going to have to increase my capacity for the crunchy feelings, the sadness, the grief, the loss, the conflict, working through past trauma and pain, because that's how you get to the good, right? We are in a dichotomous reality where the good only feels good because it has the contrast of the bad, of the not so good, the things we don't really want to feel. So I know some weeks it's not going to be fun, but I know one thing: if I commit to this inner trip and I integrate it fully, integration, something is going to shift. So this podcast is going to be a mix of solo reflections, teachings, behind the scenes from my life and my business. I'm going to be super honest here, super vulnerable, sharing things that I don't share anywhere else. I'm going to bring on people who I've worked with in the plant medicine realm, people who are co-facilitators, past clients to interview me. This is going to be neuroscience. It's going to be energetics. It's going to be sacred plant medicine. It's going to be fun. It's going to be trashy reality television and a lot of cold brew. Every episode is going to be honest, it's going to be integrative, and it's always going to reflect my commitment to sustainable change. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like to do this work over the long haul, to really live it, to walk it, to fully embody it, and not just use it as a cushion, as something that you use to make a bad day seem better or a hard time have some relief. If you want to know what it is like to use this as a tool for real lasting transformation, this is your podcast. And you're going to be able to watch it unfold in real time as we continue to ask the question over and over again: How good can it get? So for today's episode, for your integration, I would love to know. You can drop it in the comments, take a second to think about it to yourself, record a voice note, put it in your journal. What is piquing your curiosity about psychedelics, about plant medicine? Clearly something is, or you would not be here listening. I would love to know, but make sure that you do it for yourself and your own integration. And until next time, kittens, lots of love. That's the end of today's trip. But remember, the real magic has always been inside of you. If this episode landed, send it to a friend who's ready to step into their next level. And make sure you're following the show so you never miss a dose. I'll be back again soon with another day on the path to your most limitless life. And until then, trust yourself, follow your intuition, and keep asking, how good can it get?